Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Vobes show, live streaming from a house in Worthing in West Sussex, in which in 2 hours' time I'm a free man, ladies and gentlemen. I am free again. The absurdity, which was the government mandated lockdown for me, because I happened to be in a room in which somebody tested positive to some not necessarily 100% reliable PCR test, has meant that I have spent 10 days in isolation without seeing a single soul. Or technically, I've seen people looking out the window. I cannot help see people. In which as soon as I was told I was locked down, 3 or 4 houses down from me, the ground erupted. I think it was the powers that be above was not happy about this. The Vobes was not able to get out and make his videos. And so the tarmac split and water flooded everywhere, and Southern Water have been outside ever since, been repairing, drilling into the night, fixing 1970s great big pipes 6 meters long, and it's now fixed and they've gone, and it's been remarkable watching them, having the time to sit there idly twiddling my thumbs, sitting on the bench, well, I say bench, on my doorstep or on the little low-level wall, watching men working while I have been prevented from work. Well, I haven't been prevented from working as such, but prevented from going anywhere. Not that one could go anywhere. After all, we've had this terrible self-inflicted fuel shortage in which many people have spent hours and hours sitting in their cars looking at a fuel pump that's slowly getting closer and closer, but depleting with whatever it is that's in the basement underneath it that they're seeking, whether that be diesel or this new type of petrol. So it's just me switching on the phone here in case somebody wants to ring in. And so this week I have been doing the last few days, extra Vobe shows, basically to keep my mind from sane, where ordinarily I might be doing a bit of editing or trying to get stuff organised or a bit of reading. But I've had so much time on my hands that I've spent a little bit of time with you, the lovely viewer, and thank you very much for it. So this week I've just been putting out these extra videos. There's no agenda, there's nothing I've got lined up to talk about, and on this show we only have one video, which actually I've just remembered. Or have we had that? I think we've had it. Yes, I have no more videos. I'm pretty certain I downloaded and we looked at the last. Was it the last video? I think we did look at the last video that I had yesterday. So yeah, no videos in today's show. Sorry about that. So it's just me and you and a chinwag, and it would be lovely to have a chat with you if you've never rung the show before. 07934746790 would be the number to call. Been doing a lot of soul searching and thinking and considering things. I've had interesting messages from various people trying to advise me on which way or not which way to go, comments on new formats and old formats and all that kind of stuff. And it is rather sort of confusing, really, when you are a creator of content and you're trying to find a way through the maze. And we are living in very odd times in which you say the wrong thing and suddenly, whereas before people could just disagree with you, now they suddenly think that you have grown horns and work for Satan himself. But never mind all that. So here we go. Let's have a look and see who's out there in tonight's little impromptu show. We have out there the lovely Julia. Hello to you. Elaine Whitelock says, hello again. Nice to see you. Linda Kane is also there. Rachel T.S. has her fire blanket on, which is always nice if you've got a blanket full of fire. Station Master's Choice. It's very nice to see you. We also have Anna Jones, Kerry Baldwin, Alan Sandell, Joanna Jones, Tracy Murphy, Lisa L, and Mark Burgess, Michael White, Glenn Horton, Ron Langley, hello to all of you lovely people. Daniel Watkins, Patrick Brooks, hello to you. Rachel, I already said Rachel, sorry about that, repeating myself. Alison O'Brien, and many others who are coming along. Graham Waffy, I beg your pardon, Roffy, must put my teeth in. I did have some teeth, I'm not quite sure what happened to them, but they were there earlier. And who else have we got? We have Ron Langley, I may have said, Sean James Cameron, and Jackie H.W. We also have Kevin Smith. Hello to you, Robert Brailsford, and Simon. There may have been others, and if I did, Lord Jeffrey, sorry I'm late. He says, if I left you out, I do apologise for that. So there we go. Now, in the post today, I had this rather remarkable book, and I did put a little video up on the Vobes Show channel to say who sent it to me, because there was no note, no nothing. So it was very confusing when that happens, and people are very generous. Now, I noticed that I've had an email since from Patrick Brooks, who is out there. Thank you so much, Patrick, for this book by Peter Owen Jones, who I actually once had to record during a talk that he was giving to a society about a year or so ago, actually, and I met him, a curious chap. I know that he's had a few documentaries out and all of that, so I'm looking forward to reading his book. Very distinctive sort of character. So thank you so much for sending that, and also sending the email to explain who it is. That's very kind. Ed Sage gave me a book which I'm wading through at the moment. It's a novel, which has been very nice, and so thank you for that. And I've been doing other bits of bobs of reading, because as you know. And Jackie H.W. very kindly has said, I've got this lovely bookcase. Would you be interested in having it? We're going to upgrade or get a different one or whatever. And I said, yeah, that would be lovely. So I may well put it in here, actually. It may well go on that side of the studio, because it would be lovely to fill it up with some of the books that are spilling about down in my office, shove them up here, which will help with the acoustics. But also, the thing about books and me is I don't have a book system, i.e. they're not alphabetically on there, they're not even collected together by subject. It's sort of, I know where each book is, but only because I've lived with them and they sit on the shelf and I notice the titles. Very often I'll be talking to somebody quite happily and my eye will just drift over and see a couple of books on the bookshelf and going, oh, wait a minute, I don't recognise that one. What is it? Oh, yes, that's it. And in that way, I slowly begin to learn where certain books are. And I'll be chatting to somebody and they'll be talking about a subject. And I'll go, oh, I've got a book about that. And I'll go over to the bookshelf. And I know it's over here somewhere. Wait a minute, I think it's on the second shelf. Ah, there it is. And for no apparent reason, the subconscious mind has mapped these books without me sitting down and doing it. Do you do that? Is that something you do? Do you know if you have a collection of things, whether they be CDs, albums, books, or anything, stamps, whatever people do collect in their spare time? Or are you somebody who is much more ordered? Do you have to have it in alphabetical order, A to Z, not Z, A to Z? Does it have to be like that? I'd be interested to know what you do. If you collect things a little bit unusual, love to learn about that. 07934746790. Give us a call. Tell us about your collections. By the way, I'm only doing an hour tonight because this isn't a regular night. So I just thought I'd have a chinwag for an hour. So we're going to finish at 9 o'clock. That gives me 3 hours to prepare, to escape and be a free man. The question is, what should I do tomorrow? I will be able to leave my house legally. I will no longer be under the threat of imprisonment, further imprisonment, or a fine, or whatever it is, from the government, should I leave my house at the moment, from this stupid situation that I've been put in. I did mention yesterday that if it came again, I probably wouldn't answer it, and I probably certainly wouldn't tell anybody about it, because the most stupidest thing was to tell people, because nobody's... Basically, I had one phone call in the duration, to make sure that I understood the terms and conditions of this shacklement, and a couple of texts just to say, if you need anything, here's the government website, which I knew was going to be a fat lot of good. It's really thanks to the goodwill of my listeners and viewers and friends and family that I've been able to get the necessary bottles of milk and bread and various things. And I thank you so much for that. It's very nice to know that there is a very friendly network ready to come to one's aid. But I think next time, I have not developed any nasty disease. I have not passed anything on. I haven't got corpuscles and all of those things. I feel absolutely fine. You know what will happen, of course, that tomorrow I will walk out and catch a cold. That'll be what will happen. We know that's going to happen. And then I'll be miserable as sin and inside and weeping into my thing. It'll be another week will pass in which I won't be out anywhere. Jackie Lowe says, you're going to stay up till midnight and then burst through your front door and run down the street shouting freedom. I probably won't, actually, but it would be a good idea. I know that Linda Kane had this idea that I would do a live walk down to the pier. Have you seen the weather outside? It's not particularly pleasant. It's very windy, and my data doesn't... my data service, I don't have one of these... You know, I notice that a lot of people have data in which they just seem to have endless amount of data and they can just go, hello, I'm walking here for 5 hours and it's perfectly fine. My data seems to run out as soon as I go on my mobile. I don't know, I've probably only got like 1 gig of data. It's ridiculous. Paying through the nose as ever. Kerry Baldwin says, Richard, make sure you wait until after midnight before you leave the house. They will know. Oh, yes, I'm sure they will. I was very tempted, actually, today just to go down to the pier and go, no. Not that there have been very many people because of the wind and what have you. Station Master says most people catch the bus, Richard. Most people catch the bus. Richard catches a cold. I haven't really been on a bus for many, many years. So we've got a few more people here. Jen Coley has arrived. Nice to see you. And Paul Cockrell, hello to you. I guess you know where the books on narrowboating are, says Linda Kane, laughing. Yes, I've got 2 very nice books, actually. One, both of them have the same name, Narrowboat, by a certain L.T.C. Rolt, I believe his name is. Very pleasant. I think one is actually, I believe that one of them is here in the studio. I'm just looking now. I believe one is lying here, and it may be your book, Linda Kane. It may be yours, which I know you want back, and I'm not going to find it, am I? Now that I've said it's here. Oh, there is an LT, there's one here. Oh, crikey. This isn't the one you're thinking of course, Navigable Waterways by LTC Rolt. I know that. I knew there was one up here. But your one is probably somewhere else. Mind you, I've got a pile of books over there, so it might be in that pile of books. I don't like piles of books because you can't see the spines. So that's where I think it would be fantastic to have a bookcase in that corner, which will be great. Not that I'm going to be able to do anything like that because I have no diesel and, well, I have a little bit of diesel, but not a lot. We've got to wait for this. So tomorrow, I'm probably just going to be trying to walk out the house and try and make a video, but it's going to be absolute rubbish. So what can you do? Kathy B, good evening to you. Station Master's Choice is talking to Michael White, and Linda Kane says it was downstairs in the old studio. If it was downstairs in the old studio, it's probably up here somewhere. I don't see these in the piles of books, as I say. When they're on the... when I can see the spines, that's where I sort of make where they are. He's got... Jackie HQ says, held over 100 of my clinical psychology books, so we'll take a lot of yours. Oh, excellent. Well, that would be marvellous. It'd be great fun filling it up. It means that I can go and start buying books again, if only to fill up the, the shelves. So that would be nice. Kerry Baldwin says, Peter Owen Jones TV programmes are very interesting. Yeah, there was a. I know that I spoke to the South Downs Society, and they were trying to team me, the Bald Explorer, up with Peter Owen Jones, but Peter Owen Jones was not interested. I'm not surprised, really. Why would he want to team up with me? But that was what they were trying to do. I had a conversation with a lady there about it. Mark Burgess says, do a trip to the supermarket. Yeah, that would be great. Very inspiring. So there we are. So do you do anything interesting? Do you collect books or other interesting things? Do let me know. Rachel says, Richard, find a nice old pub with a fire and treat the lovely Julia to a yummy lunch. Well, I would do. That would be very nice. However, Julia's got little Geronimo Joe. If we can knock him out with some knockout drops, which I think the lovely Julia is desperate for, knockout drops to be knocked out of babies, or babies to be knocked out at the right time so that they sleep through the night. But yes, it would be nice to do that if we're allowed. We are back allowed in pubs, aren't we? I think we are. So it's just finding a nice pub that's open. The G Monster says, Reverend Peter Owen Jones, the rock and roll vicar. The rock and roll vicar, yes. I don't know whether he's into rock and roll, actually. I'm sure he isn't. He's into more natural things. He lives over at Firle, near Firle Beacon, and is in charge of, I think it's St. Peter's, isn't it? The church down that way. I did a video around that area some time ago. I think it was during the first lockdown when we had all that lovely, pleasant weather, which would be nice. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do in the winter this year, because I wanted to get out further afield and explore the landscape, heritage and nature, of course. But with all this weird weather that we're having at the moment, which I don't think has anything to do with any climate crisis whatsoever, it's just natural, and some winters and autumns we get unpleasant weather. And I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with the format. There's been interesting observations about the format, interesting numbers of people watching stuff, interesting. I say I'm using the word interesting. Sometimes by interesting I mean disappointing, or I mean exceptionally good. It's just one of those disguising words like nice. Yes, it's very nice of him to come round. Quite is one of those words. Are you one of those people who uses the word quite? It's a strange word, isn't it? When you say, what did you think of that film the other night? Oh, it was quite good. Oh, what? Just quite good. What do you mean? Or they say, no, it's quite good. And how you say it makes a huge difference, doesn't it? Oh, quite good, meaning it was almost very good. Whereas it was quite good, meaning it was not quite. It was not as good as perhaps one might have expected. When something is adequate, what does that really say to you? Oh, how was your meal? Adequate. That's almost an insult, isn't it? Well, it was adequate. Adequate. In other words, it was edible. I don't really have any complaints, but it sort of didn't excite me necessarily. But I'm not disappointed. It was just adequate. Such a put-down word in some ways, and yet at the same time, it's not really a put-down word, because on the other side of it, it's you had a necessary amount of calories, flavour, texture, heat, whatever comprises and makes up food. Alan Sandell says, I shall explore an old pub tomorrow. Oh, what a lovely day. It would be nice. Do you know, I get so many people saying to me, Richard, will you go and make videos of old pubs? And that's, I would love to make videos of old pubs, except that there's just that funny thing about the professional in me that you can't just turn up at a pub and start filming. For one thing, it's somebody's private business. It might be open to the public so that you can purchase drinks, but I don't think it's necessarily, it's just open so that you can film whatever you like. So you do need to get permission. And also, there's a lot of noise, and you can't sort of get away from it, plus the fact there might be the copyright music playing. Hello, viewer. Thank you for calling in.
Hello, Richard. It's Michael White again.
Hello, Michael White again. How the devil are you?
I'm fine. I just rang in to tell you about some of my obsessions.
Oh, good.
Well, there's only two major obsessions, and one is books, like you. I've got a massive collection of books.
Lovely. On what sort of subjects?
I love history, and I'm very eclectic, really. I like lots of different subjects. You know, I often start off with good intentions of starting a new hobby or something like that, and then I'll buy 2 or 3 books in it, and then I'll flick through them, read passages, and then often I don't start the hobby, to be honest.
Oh. Yeah, I think we've all been in that situation where passion has grabbed us, enthusiasm has overtaken, and then it wanes a bit.
It does, yeah, I'm afraid so. The only thing that's been permanent is my obsession with Japan.
With Japan?
Yeah, I've always been obsessed with Japan and Japanese, mainly the samurai and things like that. I got a huge collection of samurai swords and armor and things like that.
So
So
what got you interested in that?
someone bought me a book when I was a child, and it had a picture of a samurai in it, and I thought it was quite frightening in a way, I suppose, and it just became something I wanted to find out about. And the more I found out, the more interested I got.
So
And then I was thinking about applying to the British Museum to see if I could get a job there. And I think I'd have to learn Japanese fluently. I know a little bit of Japanese, but not enough to get by, really. I'd have to go to Japan and live there for a while. And it was just a pipe dream, really. It never came about.
oh,
But,
shame.
yeah, it was a thing. I love art because I was trained as an illustrator.
And we've seen some of your art, and it's absolutely exceptional. Thank you for sending that in as you did.
That's always very kind of you. You always say that. Thank you very much.
Well,
But,
we can't deny that it wasn't brilliant stuff. You know, those are your portraits that you did were just. I mean, I take my hat off to it because I wouldn't know where to start. I mean, it's one thing getting the proportions right, but getting the colours and the flesh and the lighting in a drawing, I think, is exceptionally difficult.
Well, the thing is with anything, it's like musicians, they're never happy with what they do. And if you don't practice, you actually get worse. Even
Yes.
with art, you do that. And art is a bit of a science as well, really. People don't realize that because color theory and perspective, all sorts of things like that is really a kind of got a scientific side to it. So to draw properly, it takes a long time. You really I mean, I had... 4 years in art school, and I needed a lot longer than that, really, because most artists nowadays, they don't use life models anymore. They draw on computer and things, and you really need life classes. You need to sit there for months and months and months and just draw and draw and draw, really,
Yeah, until you get that pencil, pen, paintbrush coordination to know that exactly what you're doing is the experience. It's like, I guess it's like when I went to mime school. It took, I went and did a year's worth of mime training. Every day we were getting different techniques, but it took another 2 years before it was really in your body.
But I think that people don't really understand the subtlety of things like that. I can see the subtleness of a lot of the things you do. And you can see that you practice things, and until they become like second nature. It's the same with writers, really. I mean, a good writer, they do apply tricks, but they also, I don't know, they seem to just practice their art until it starts to flow. And lots of people don't reach that stage in their profession. They don't get to the point where.
And also, do you think people are very? And certainly people doing stuff are very impatient. But here's an interesting thing. I had a letter from somebody today. I won't mention any names and I won't go into it in any great detail, but they were basically saying, look, I don't really like this new format of video that you're doing. Don't really like it. Because I feel that the other format was great and I have to fast forward to find the bits that I like. And I emailed back and I tried to say, I understand that people don't like change, blah, blah, blah. I said, but at the moment I'm finding my feet with this. I feel it's something I would like to do. I'm trying to find my feet, but like anything, it will take me a while to understand the format myself. And I remember when I started to do podcasts and a podcast version of this before I did this, and it took me at least 2 years to get into the flow of what the show was really about. Same with the Vobes show, that now, to a degree, I can switch on the microphone, I can look down the lens and waffle about something, look at what the comments are, and sort of riff off it. And I think my best work is where I'm not prepared and, who knows what comes in. I love it when stuff is thrown at me and the phone call comes that said, we're going to talk about this. And you go, great, let's go with it. And I think that, like with you were saying with drawing, I think, as you say, people do not understand that things take time so that you can actually be good at it. But people are impatient. They want you to. I mean, that's what I find. Change the format. I don't like the format. It's like, yeah, no, I don't like it yet. But I'm finding my way. Give me some time to actually, and by time, not a week. Wait until this time next year. I may have got it right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't necessarily have to be a great draftsman. I mean, you look at people like Quentin Blake. He's an amazing artist for what he does. He's got so much character in his work. And yet you would never say that he was a great draftsman. It's just the style of work, I think with you and your videos, I think the thing that people like most is they are drawn to your personality. They like the way you look at things, and, you've got a charm that, comes through in your videos, whatever you do, really. And I think that's one of the things that really people like about you. You've got an honesty, you're not trying to sort of create a different persona, really, in a sense. You're you, and I think that's what people like about it, really.
Yeah, I mean, and that's very nice of you to say so. Thank you very much. I mean, there's certain versions of me, it's all me, but I think like anybody, you adapt a little bit to the thing that you're doing. So when you walk out on stage to deliver a best man speech, you're modifying your language a little bit, and you're telling jokes, and you're giving a version of your persona. And when you visit the bank manager, you're giving a different version. And when you're there with your mates in the pub, there's a different version. We all have slightly different versions of us. And if you can just be true to yourself in all those versions, then I think you're onto something.
Well, I don't mean to say you're a mono personality.
No.
You've got lots of facets of your personality.
Yes, I didn't take it as whatever the reverse of a compliment is, an insult. Okay. I didn't take it. No, I didn't take it as. I'm just saying that because we all have different personalities, in essence, it's the you bit that comes out, and I imagine that's true with drawing. There's an energy, or there's a something that when you draw, perhaps if you're drawing freestyle, or you're drawing more technically for a corporate client, there's still that something, the flair, I don't know what you would call it, that must come out that says, he's a truthful artist because he's not disguising himself, yet they're two completely different styles. Does that make any sense, or am I just talking rubbish?
No, I agree. Yeah, I think if you look at any painters in the past, they always have their heroes and they try and copy other people, and then eventually whatever they do, their own style comes through eventually anyway.
Because we all beg, borrow and steal from everybody, don't? I mean, everybody nicks it. You think, oh, that's nice, and then you do, even if you copy it almost verbatim, you're still doing. It's not the original person doing it. It may be a very stilted version, but it's not the original person. It's your version of them, and then that slowly develops into something actually very different, into your own way of doing it.
Yeah, you've got to be a sponge, really. I mean, like with your profession, you see people whose work you like, and you absorb some of that. You don't sometimes even know you're doing it, but you do. And then eventually it comes out in your own work. And you see so many people now that are too cloney. They copy people too much. They need to sort of maybe work on something for a little while and then go on to something else, and not to keep on imitating the same thing. And then eventually their own style comes out, I think.
Yes. And I think it's that, as I already said, you need time. Time is everybody is quite impatient for either to be able to do things. And I know I was, when I was trying to draw, I just wanted to be able to draw quickly so I could illustrate the children's books that I was writing. Because I didn't want anyone else to do it, but I knew I wasn't very good. And in the end, I stopped because I wanted to find something, and of course that would make some form of living. And I went back to the things that I knew and understood, which I took for granted as being easy, which I actually now appreciate isn't as easy as people, like sitting in front of a microphone and waffling away, is not as easy for everybody as it might be for me. But then everybody's got something that either they can develop to get really good, or that they just have a flair for something. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I worked as an illustrator for about 10 years, And then finally my work dried up, partly because of my own fault, because I went away on holiday for about 3 months. And when I got back, the work just wasn't there anymore. It had been passed on to other people. But you have to be determined if you want to be successful at anything. I mean, when I first went to art school, my teacher said to the class, look around you, you'll see people here who are naturally gifted, but they're not the ones that are going to succeed. The people that will succeed are the people that stay until the end, who really work at something.
Right.
He said talented people, most of them will fall by the wayside. And there's a lot of truth in that. I think you've got to be determined whatever you do. I mean, you show determination because you know that it's in your blood. That's your way of life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. There are days when I think, oh my God, I'm really just not getting anywhere with this. Nothing's working, and I'm throwing stuff at the fan. But then at the same time, I think, I don't know what else I can do. I do this because I love it, and I don't know what else I would do. And so I just keep going. And I think you've got to have tenacity in this world. I think, and that's a talent or a skill or what would you call it? It's a thing that not everybody seems to have. And I don't know whether that's just the way the world is, or it's how I am perceiving the world now, that people are not so determined to get on, or maybe they are, and maybe it's the same as it always is, and I'm just not seeing it. I don't know.
I think there's probably a lack of imagination now, because your imagination is already catered for within television and the entertainment industry.
Yes.
I think if you develop your own imagination through reading and other things, you'll come up with something that's different to what the mainstream is putting across, really. And I'm afraid, so many people are glued to the TV, and, they talk about programs they've seen during the week. And it's all the same thing, you're virtually the same reaction. And that's the sad thing about it, really.
It's interesting you say that, because I often think that what we need to do is to get people away from their screens, to get people out in the countryside, to get people to sort of see the world, firsthand, not through holding up their phone and filming it all. And yet, I know really instinctively I can't persuade people to do that. So I may as well make the videos. And so if they actually get to see any heritage landscape and nature, or a bit of fun, or a bit of nonsense, or take a serious point or whatever, I may as well present it to them on the screens that they're determined that they are going to sit and watch and spend their time on it. I may as well do it. And it's taken me a while to sort of square that circle of, am I just adding to the amount of YouTube videos which are up there, which is what's sort of stifling people's imagination. But ultimately, I just think, well, people are going to do this anyway, so I may as well do what I love, make these programs, and they may as well just watch them. And if I do change people's minds or persuade them to go out and breathe the fresh air or whatever, then that's great. But if I don't, it doesn't matter.
Well, I think it's really good, that you do that, because there's so many places I've seen through you that I wouldn't see normally. And I think a lot of people live that way, especially today. They do look at things through other people's eyes a little bit. But it does motivate you to go out and look around, even if it's just in your own area. It makes you think about things maybe in a different way. So I think it's a good thing. So... Anyway, Richard, I won't keep you. It's my battery's dying on my phone as well.
Can't have that. Go and charge it up. But Michael, so lovely to talk to you. Do call again. And thank you for your nice words. I wasn't I'm not here to have people blow smoke up my bottom, but it's nice to hear it from time to time.
I think you need it sometimes. I think sometimes you get a bit down, and you don't appreciate how much people appreciate your work, really. So,
well, you've got to remember, to me, what I do, mostly I do quite easily. And it's funny, because the videos that I make that I really hone and spend a bit of time on are the ones that never quite get under everybody's imagination. And the ones that I throw together that I think, oh God, that was just dreadful, are the ones that people like. And so you get this sort of impression that actually, what's the point? Because when I work really hard, it doesn't seem to work.
I've had that happen to me. I mean, I remember when art directors' jobs were changing and they were no longer prestigious jobs. So they used to put some youngster in charge of the art direction, and you go in and get briefed for an illustration, and you write it all down, what they wanted, and then you go away and do the illustration, and you were really happy with the result. You bring it back, and then they show it to the editor, and the editor said, no, that's not at all what we want. It was what you were briefed on.
Yes.
So they'll say, we'll give you a rejection fee. Can you do it again? We need it tomorrow morning. So you do it again, and it will be absolutely appalling work, not something you'd want to put back in your portfolio. And
they love
that's
it.
the way it goes, I'm afraid. The rubbish gets published, and the good stuff ends up in the bin.
It's just, sod's law, isn't it? It's been lovely talking to you. It really has.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thanks
much,
very
Michael.
Richard.
Talk
Take care.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
bye now.
Bye. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Michael White calling in. You're very welcome to have a chat with the Vobes if you are brave enough to dial 0793 4746 790. Lots of comments were going in during that. Let's see what people are saying. Station Master's Choice says, I rather like the long format, but then I suppose I'm biased. Thank you very much. John B says, we are all chameleons. Yes, I think we do adapt to the people that we're with. I think that's pretty simple. I mean, it'd be weird if you didn't, wouldn't it? If you were sort of always the same with everybody, I think that would make you stick out a little bit more. Maybe it's that wanting to belong when you're into a group of two or three people that you sort of mellow. You know, a little bit of you changes, but it's not a lie. Your personality hasn't. You're not lying when you're perhaps more relaxed with one group of people and more prim and proper with another. It's still you, but it's just like you wearing different hats, I suppose. Jackie HW says, exactly right, Michael White. We watch Richard because he's sincere and genuine and talented. I don't think it's the subject matter. I think it's the personality we're attracted to. Well, that's very, very kind of you, Jackie, to say that. And I'm really not. I said this yesterday, was it? I'm not looking for compliments in all of this. I do too in some ways, says John B to Station Master's Choice. Tracy Murphy says, the new format is refreshingly unique, Richard, and very enjoyable. Fantastic is an understatement. And I mean, it all change. You know, sometimes stuff just changes by osmosis. And the walks, you know, using my walks as an example, when I very first got onto YouTube and was taking it very more seriously than before, and I was doing daily walks, I knew from the start that the long format that I was doing with the Bald Explorer, the ones where I went to Lewis, or I was in Shropshire, or I did the canal boat video about abandoned canal, those took 3 months to make. And they involved me going to places before I even filmed, carting a big camera, having a cameraman, spending a lot of time learning computer graphics in order to do some very small little sequences on computer graphics, reading books about the subject, and then writing a script, and then scheduling shooting days to do it and editing it. And that all took 3 months to put together a 40-minute video. And I think they hold up really okay. They hold up fairly well, considering it was mostly myself, either a friend or my son or daughter, who helped shoot those things. And I shot everything that I wasn't in, and I lined up the camera and gave the instruction to these inexperienced cameramen who were just operating the camera how to shoot them for me. So it was all from my brain, and it was quite taxing, and then I had to remember lines and all of this. But when I started to do the dailies, and I started to realize that actually doing a video every 3 months here and then 6 months later another one was no way to build an audience and no way to try and earn a living from it. Plus the fact the amount of money and time that went into those 3 months to create that 40 minutes was just you couldn't do it. We tried to crowdfund money for them, and nobody was interested. Quite, I can understand why. Absolutely, why would you? So, in order to do the dailies, when the GoPro first came out, well, not when it first came out, but I discovered the GoPro, and gimbals were coming out, little gimbals, and I could put a GoPro on a gimbal, and there was a button to make it film that way, your point of view, and then this way, looking at me. I made loads of videos every day with just these two views, and I cut between the two. There were no other cutaways or anything, no bits on tripods and all of that. It was just this way and that way, and I hated it. I hated those videos. I hate them now. These two awful, but I had to compromise, because sometimes you just have to compromise. I thought, this is the only way I had to make daily videos. I didn't have time to do much research, and I would go to places, film my reaction, and I would just turn the camera around and film each way, and then cut. The bits I would edit would be cut out the turning of the camera, and that would be it. And I did. And so over time, though, I started to use better cameras. I would use tripods. You'd get the walking shots this way, that way, cutaways. And now, in the longer format, you get the occasional drone shot and all that. And by time, you can sort of mold and change. But I was keeping them to still around about 10, 12 minutes. But once I wanted to go back to a longer format, I realized that to sustain the audience, well, I knew that in order to sustain the audience, you couldn't just extend the ordinary 10-minute walk from a car park to a church down across a couple of fields, because that would just be so dull and boring. And also I would find it boring, also trying to struggle to find the material to film, as well as trying to keep the energy and the pace going. And the thing about a longer format video is, because you're going over, say, 25 minutes, your storytelling has to be stronger. It's not just I'm going from here to there, but your storytelling might involve conflict or pace changes or completely different viewpoints, or taking in a lot more things. Now, at the moment, I have not honed the longer format thing. Every now and again I get bits of it right, and then I can see, oh yeah, there's a load of padding here, and that's not really working, and that was rubbish. And that's what I mean. It will take me months to get this right, until you get into the right cycle so that each one comes out. But it may be I've lost the audience by then, because they may be going, oh, we can't, we're impatient, we don't want this. And you think, oh, right, okay, I guess go back to ordinary video. And then you look at other people, what other people are doing, and you've got people who just make videos on their phone. They don't do cutaways, they don't do glorious sunshine shots or drone shots, or, close-ups of the morning dew and a spider's web glistening in the sun. They don't do any of that. And yet they've got 100,000 viewers, and they're just talking into their phone, and you're just going, I don't know how to. And it's not, you're not chasing the views for the sake of the views. You're chasing the views so that you can get enough revenue so that you can keep going. But it does take time. It really does. Anyway, I didn't want to talk all about this. But these 10 days of being at home on my own, of course, has enabled me to look inwardly a little about what I'm doing and what I'm trying to do and what works and what doesn't work. And some days, if you were to look at what I do on paper and take it to the bank manager, they would say, get a job, because this doesn't pay. Going to Suffolk and looking at windmills, as lovely as it is, drone shots and all of that, suffering 10 days of self-isolation, that didn't help, all of that, and then you look at the viewing figures and you go, oh yeah, it just doesn't pay. It does not pay. And yet the people who have enjoyed those have really enjoyed them, and the comments have been beautiful and lovely, and I've been very touched. But on paper, you're better off just doing what I did to begin with. Gimbal, this view, that view, this view, that view. Make it easy. Do 5 videos in a day. Take the rest of the week off. So There you go. A guy, Fishborn, says less is more with the editing. There may be a clue. That may be what YouTube is about. It may be that YouTube doesn't want you to present nicely and do things well and have beautiful shots. The things that I love about filmmaking is getting up early, clambering up onto a hill in the freezing cold, and catching just one or two beautiful shots. But that takes time. And it's in and out, and nobody notices. And as Guy Fishborn says, don't bother, basically. Don't bother. Gimbal, this way, that way. But it's not satisfying. I mean, it's like an art. It's like when I was doing the corporate editing, the corporate stuff. Yes, I can film stuff. I can get headshots and mic people up, and I'm filming with cameras, and it's like, I guess, like filming weddings. To me, that's also very sterile. It's just sterile. The magic is in the creativity of it. That's why one does it. So it's not so much about making the money, but you just need to make enough to keep going, and then you're riding on the crest, and it's wonderful. Only 28 likes and 85 viewers. Needs fixing, says Flappy Goose. Michael White says, thanks, everyone. Kerry Baldwin says, your voice-overs captivate me. I like the way you tell the story. Now, it's funny you should say that, Kerry, because I had the term, this false bon avie, whatever that really means, said about my voiceovers. It's funny how two people can be so opposed, so polar opposite, that somebody will say, that just sounds so fake, and the other one can say, no, that's really nice. And ultimately, of course, you can't take direction from the viewers. You have to just do what's inside you. Of course you do. Mr. O'Connell says, do you ever feel embarrassed talking to the camera in public? Yeah, sometimes I do. I mean, I'm somebody who's experienced in entertaining and dressing up in stupid costumes, walking out, as a spaceman or an escaped convict, or I'm just thinking of some of the costumes that I've got as a robot or something like that. Doesn't embarrass me at all. Because when you put a costume on, you are signalling to the audience, I am playing a character, even if it is a wacky farmer, as I used to do, Farmer Piles here, hello there, with a cutout pig on wheels, and going, oh, this is my little pig there. You're going to say hello to my little pig? Because you'll be amazed how many people join your universe in the public. There you are, walking down the street at some event, and people kind of got used to, okay, it's an event going on. Oh, he's an entertainer. He's a character actor, and there he is. And they get into your universe. They're part of you, and it's lovely. And there you are with this silly ruddy face and gingery hair coming out of a flat cap with a straw in your mouth, going, hello there. What are you up to then? What you got in your bag? You got any sweets in there? Any boiled sweets? I've had boiled sweets since I was a kid. Now, come on. You've got to have some. You look like the kind of lady there who'd have some of them lovely licorice all sorts. Have you got some, have you? Or have you got some of them sherbet? I like sherbet lemons. Oh, mind you, they cut the top of my lips, see? A terrible bleeds like that. And my pigs, they don't like to see me bleeding. They think it's time for them to go for the chop. I like chops, don't you? Shush. No, don't tell them. And I would prattle on like this. People would join. And that was great fun. Great fun. That's because I was wearing a costume and you were at an event and people are accepting it. When you're out in the public and you've got a camera, people are looking at you going, what is he doing? What's it about? What's it? And you can feel very self-conscious, and it's a big hurdle to get over that self-consciousness. Sometimes it's easier than other times to do it. Sometimes you find yourself going, hello, I'm Richard Vobes, and I'm trying to record this so that nobody can see me record it, which then looks rubbish on the camera. So yes and no is the answer to that question. The Vintage News says we've always had problems with music getting copyright claim, but we felt we had to, or it would be rubbish. Yes, I mean copyright claim isn't so important these days, unless you want to make money from it. because the money goes elsewhere. Goes to the person who owns the music, or to the mechanical copyright protection who collects. Is it them or the whoever it is who MPC, whatever it is, who collect the money on behalf of artists everywhere. Jim Mugford says, I really enjoy the long format and the older vids, especially when you meet people, visiting locations and telling a great story. Thank you very much, Jim. Guy Fishbourne says, and you as well. We like your take on. Oh, it's you as well. We like your take on what you see. You're such an entertainer. And I think at the end of the day, that is, I mean, although, Guy said, well, don't bother with the editing earlier. I think you're true. You're right, Guy. I mean, ultimately, the camera work, the sound quality, the resolution, all of that is irrelevant if the person can carry the video. It's not really about all of the technical side of things. It's really about who it is, and I think that's the thing. And some people have that confidence and know that they're good at these things, and other people are good at these things but they don't always know it. And I fall in that category, in which I hope I'm good at what I do, but I never feel confident that what I do is what people like. And so that's why, to me, I feel, I need that sunrise, or that close-up of the holly bush, or the cobweb with the glistening, I want those seductive elements in it, because I just feel that I'm adequate, but not particularly interesting. So, but that comes from my childhood because of various reasons. Ernie says, evening, Richard. What a nice surprise, watching while I have a shower. Well, it's interesting you should say that, Ernie, because we're watching you have the shower. Nice. It'd be funny if that happened, wouldn't it? That you were able to look back and go, oh no, stop it, stop mucking about. Where's all gummage, says John B. Jim says you do a great job. Peter Santenio, another YouTuber, tells a great story without all the fancy stuff. I enjoy the tours of houses. I mean, it may be I might experiment with trying to. I mean, I just thought, do you know what I need to do? I know what I need to do. I need to spend a bit more money, but buy one of these really flash up-to-date phones that have stabilization in, and just do it all on a phone. Because Jackie HW showed me how she edited her videos on the phone, and she did them bang, done. And I'm thinking, wait, I got it all on my fancy cameras. I bring them into the edit suite with 2 screens. I sit there and I edit it, and then I export the audio off, and I do something to the audio to improve the sound. I bring that back in. I make sure all the banners and things are. I go and color grade certain parts of it. I make sure it's all nice and smooth and there's no jumps and this, that, and the other. I sit back and watch the whole thing through, making sure it's glitch proof and all of that. Then I encode it, then I upload it, and all of that takes forever. And when Jackie went, well, what I do is I just go dum, right, and upload, there it is, done. And you just think, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm so old school. Daniel Watkins says, nice to hear from you, Richard. Now you are free after midnight. Take care. Everyone, see you tomorrow evening at 8. Yes, there we go. Sean James Cameron says, lots of entertainers are travelling up and down the country trying to make a living. Life in entertainment, YouTube land, is not as easy as everybody thinks. It's very true. It's very true. I like seeing those videos of Farmer Piles, says Alison O'Brien. Oh, there's Farmer Piles here. It's lovely, that is. It's very lovely. Have you seen my hen, my little chicken, my lovely little chicken, that one there? I plucked her only this morning, I did. Plucked her good and proper. She's looking at me as I was plucking her, saying, wait, aren't you supposed to wring my neck first, she says. Well, she's like, I was mind reading her, see? Mind reading her. It's like, aren't you supposed to pluck my head first, wring my neck first before? And I said, wring your neck, love? Wring your neck? I don't know their number. You'll go in the old oven as you are, and you can cluck about as much as you like, and it'll be lovely. That's a rather grim story, wasn't it? I have tape on my phone camera. People with the right tech can spy in. Yes, I did start to do that actually. Put tape on the over the lens of the camera, so that if you're watching, late at night or in the shower, or in the bath or something, no one can take ridiculous pictures of you, and then say, "Do you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send this to all your friends, and you're gonna look obscene. So send us lots of cryptocurrency." And I don't know really what cryptocurrency is. Do you have to go into a church down in the bowels into the crypt to get this currency? Is it sort of old money that the vicar has stashed away? I don't know quite what you mean by cryptocurrency. Anyway, I never answer these things. Richard, you have a fancy phone, says Jackie. But this is no, I didn't, Richard. It still takes me ages. Oh, does it? You when you were showing me, it seemed to go really. You just like this click, this click, this click, this click, click, and done. I was just demonstrating the process, but it takes several hours to edit it on. Oh, right, okay. Well, it looked brilliant. John B says some of those ASMR artists are earning a small fortune. Yes, I want a big fortune. Your iPhone 7 has optical image stabilization. Give it a try. I did give it a try. I say they said it's got this stabilization, but when I did try it, but it just didn't seem as good as, I don't know if Bonnie's out there. Bonnie makes these videos, and I know Bonnie's just holding a phone like this. She's not a filmmaker, but when she does it, I think, my God, that's on a crane or it's on a gimbal. It's so steady, rock solid. And didn't David Keel, he sent in a video the other day, and again, it's just on a phone, but it was rock solid. And I thought, I've never had a phone that isn't like, shaky like that. And yet these top of the range ones are absolutely rock solid, and the quality is so good. And you think, well, maybe that's what I want. Ian McCracken says, Ian from up near Liss, he says, the 2 times I have filmed with you, you've been such fun, and you make it look easy because you're a natural star. Well, thank you so much. This isn't supposed to be about me, by the way. So anyway, how are we doing on the time? Look, it's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. I said I'd only do an hour. It wasn't supposed to be about me. It was supposed to be a good old chinwag about all sorts of bits and bobs and things. Jackie says the iPhone 7 should have it. My iPhone 7 Plus did, and now the 11. I'll have another play with it. I thought, but I wasn't. When I tried it, it still didn't look like these rock solid, lovely ones that you get. But I will have another look. I'll have another look. I mean, it would be great to whack out a camera that you can just carry and not with all these lenses and things. Although audio, you see, is another issue that you've got. If you use a gimbal, turn stabilization off, says Waltham Walker. Yes. I mean, I do that if I'm using a gimbal, of course, because otherwise the stabilization is trying to stabilize what the gimbal's already stabilized, and you get quirky stuff. I do appreciate that. Anyway, so it's 9 o'clock now. Let's change the subject from me. Let's let you have the rest of your evening. I've got 3 more hours until I am a free man. Thank goodness for that, eh? And who knows what I'm going to be doing over the next few days, because the weather is foul. I want to get out and make some videos, but the weather is foul, and there's no diesel to be had for love nor money. So I'd probably just be walking and talking videos for the next few things. But and I know people will go, "Oh, this isn't what I normally tune in for the Bold Explorer." But you might just have to have what you get until we get some better weather and what have you. Dean Cooper says my iPhone fell down the toilet. Now it's dead. Well, obviously, I'm sure any phone, if you chuck it down the toilet, that would happen. Richard is old school and a bit of a perfectionist, I suspect. Yes. I mean, it's because I worked in television and the corporate industry, and the product that you try to give, you want everything to be right because people will criticize. I mean, When I was working on Snug and Cozy, there were people who told me that they put the programs in front of a scope, and they would scope the image because the image had to hit certain boundaries and it would need tweaking. Well, I've never done that, but there seemed to be, broadcast standards that were one thing, and yet I was talking to somebody only the other day. I think it was Sean actually. And he was telling me about a canal program on the telly with this bloke who used to have or still has a YouTube channel, and he films for the BBC all the stuff himself on a phone, on a high-end phone. The BBC come down once a week and film some drone shots of where he is, but he films everything on his phone. And then they take that footage, presumably they grade it and do various things with it and modulate the audio and various things to make it acceptable. But most of it's done on his phone. The quality now is so good. It is ridiculous, isn't it? Anyway, there you go. That's it. Thank you very much. Hopefully talk to you soon. Take care. Look after yourselves. Thank you for watching. I appreciate that. And I will catch up with you soon. It's 9:01 here. It might be a different time where you are, but I will say arrivederci. Look after yourself. Another Vobes show, full-length show tomorrow, 90 minutes, all good fun. Take care. Sean James Cameron says, bring back the box brownie. What a good idea. Take care. Thank you. All the best. Night-night. Thanks to Michael White for the phone call. See you then. Bye.